Hi and welcome back to Still Sassy. Today I'm going to be showing you some hacks or tips that are going to really help boost your confidence when it comes to applying and wearing makeup. Now the YouTube gods, whoever they are, would say that the best thing to have called this video was the life-changing hacks. But I pushed back against that sort of headline I hate. If you've ever had a life change, then you'll know that putting makeup on isn't anything like going through a life change or a life event. And if you think about all the people in the world currently that are facing massive difficulties, they don't care about makeup. So these aren't life-changing, but they are confidence boosting. If you want to wear makeup but you're worried about how to put it on, how it will look, whether it's right for you, these might just help, because it'll help you get the makeup on correctly and easily and give you that boost in confidence. So let's get on with the show. I'm going to take all my makeup off and start again and show you these hacks. Now before I do that, I just want to remind you that on this channel I'm all about making women over 50 feel fabulous about themselves. I cover lots of makeup stuff, lots of skincare, and then a lot of mindset things, for want of a better word. So confidence, self-esteem, getting over issues like people pleasing and crossing boundaries all the time. And if you're up for that and you want to know more, then of course please subscribe and click the like button below as well. I'd be very grateful. Thank you. So the hair is out of the way and we're ready to go. I've already got my skincare on, my primer, my foundation and my brows, because you didn't really need to see that. It's just a time waster to go through that with you. So the first hack involves the under eye area. I'm quite dark there and I do get puffy at times, probably today, sleepless nights and all that, and I do have to do something with them to make them look okay. Of course I use concealer and I'll be putting that on in a minute, but what I do first is prime the under eye area. Now I do have a lot of correctors, colour correctors, but they're not the first thing I usually reach for. Instead what I like to do is use a highlighter of some sort or a lowlighter of some sort, which just gives the coverage that I need underneath the concealer to wipe away the darkness, but they also just give a nice sort of highlighted glow to the under eye area. And strangely enough, I do powder my under eyes later on in my routine, which I will show you, but the highlighter still sort of comes through and just makes the under eye area look really glorious. So I use two products mainly under my eyes, not both at the same time, one or the other. The first one is the Rodial Peach Lowlighter, and the second one, which is just looks like a black tube to you because the writing's quite tiny, is the MAC Prep and Prime. Whichever I'm using, I do the same technique, so I'm going to use the Rodial today. And this isn't difficult, it's just put on as if you're putting on your concealer. But we don't want to overload it, because the more makeup you get under your eyes, the more creased they can become, and it just doesn't look great. You will see that I don't take my foundation into this area, because foundation, then this, and then concealer is just too much. And foundation doesn't need to be under your eyes if you're using under eye makeup. So let's get this on. I'm just going to start right in the corner, just like I would with my concealer. I'm just putting a few drops here and there, like that. And then I'm going to take a brush. Fluffy brush is my preferred implement for the under eye area, and I'm just going to buff that in, dotting, swiping a bit, getting it into the corners, because that's where we can look extremely dark. So the more light you can get in there, the better. I'm probably going to take just a little bit more, a bit further down, because I've got quite a bit of darkness there, and then just get that in. So you will see how that's just brightened up the under eye area there. Now concealer would come next, but this is not the point in my makeup routine that I put the concealer on, so you'll see me do that in a little while. Now when I'm doing makeup, especially on other people, I tend to do the eyes first, but I'm breaking my own rules here because it just fits with this video better. So this next hack involves this little beauty, which is called the Liner Designer by Beauty Blender. I've had this now for about 5 years. In fact, my makeup artist tutor introduced me to this the first time I had a lesson with him, and it's just proved invaluable for everybody that I work on and myself. This is just the box. This is the actual tool. It's got one straight side and some curved sides. Now I use this because when you're a more mature person, like I am, and lots of you are, everything you put on your face, you want it to be going upwards. So your eyeshadow, your blusher needs to be up here, not down here. Everything just needs to be raised up a little bit to give you that more youthful look. So when I'm doing my eyes, I want the eyeshadow at this side to be upwards, not drooping downwards. And that can be difficult for some people to achieve because they may have hooded eyes or not much space in that area there. So this really helps, and I use it all the time. So the shadow I'm going to put on is from the Naked palette by Decay. And what I'm going to do is put a darker colour in my crease and on the corners of my eyes, and then I'm just going to put a lighter colour on the actual lid. So it's a really bog standard eyeshadow, but it shows you what this can do. So out of this palette, I'm just going to use the third from the end, I think, in the crease, this one here. And I'm just going to load up my brush, but not a lot. I'm using a quite small brush, and I load it up carefully because you can always put more on, but taking it off is more of a pain. I'm going to use the straight side of this, and I'm just going to place it where I want it. So you just need to gauge for yourself how far upright you want this to be or not. Practice with it, that's what the best thing to do is. And effectively I'm going to start in the crease with this little bit of brown, just to get it placed in there first. And I'm going to go in again, get a little more, and this is where this little gadget comes into its own, because then I'm going to go to the edge where I want to get a bit more. Don't worry, I know it looks quite a lot at the moment, but I will be blending it out. So I'm holding this in place, got a blending brush, and I'm just going to blend away like I would if I wasn't using this little gadget. And then when you're ready and you think it's how you want it to be, you just take it away and you've got a nice lifted edge there. I've gone quite wide with that. You don't have to do that. You can go as small or as big as you want with this. It just helps to get that eyeshadow at the edge turning upwards rather than downwards. And then you go on to the other side and do it on the other side. The key here obviously is to try and get them symmetrical, but if you don't manage it first time, don't worry, you can always sort of clean it up a little bit with a cotton bud, with some micellar water on. Just play with it. It's just one of those things that when you practice, you'll get better at it. But it's really not hard. Just give it a go and see where you get. If you want, you could do one eye and then start with the other one. Take this away, see how it looks, and even it back up again if that's what you need to do. Now, like everybody, my eyes are different sizes. I've got one smaller than the other. So the chances of getting them both looking perfectly the same is a bit limited. And that's the same for most people. But when people are looking in at you, they're not seeing that. They see your face as a whole. So they're not going to be noticing that perhaps one doesn't look quite the same as the other, because they're not looking at one eye and then looking at the other and comparing them. That's just not how we look at people. So get it to where you like it. You can be quite high up, you can be quite big. Do as you want. But the aim is to try and get the eyeshadow going upwards. So I'm just going to fill in the eyelid now with a different colour, and I'll be back in a sec. So now the eyes are done, this is when I would put my concealer on, because I can check whether there's been any fallout of the eyeshadow on my lower eye, and if there is, I can tidy that up. If there isn't, then I can just go ahead and put some concealer on. So that's what I'll do next. So that's the concealer on. I haven't put loads on, so the highlighter is still coming through a little bit, and I think it just gives the under eye area a nice clear look and hides those dark circles that a lot of us have. Now I'm just going to nip and put some blusher and bronzer on. Okay, so that's my cheeks refreshed. Now I'm going back to the under eye area and I'm going to powder. And this is a hack that I probably stumbled across maybe a year ago now, but I do it all the time, and that's to use pink powder underneath my eyes. So what I'm trying to do here is obviously set the concealer so it doesn't go anywhere, but I also want it to help brighten even more the under eye area. And I have got some powders that go under the eye that are not pink, but I find that this just really works as a brightener. I've got two. One is by Terry and the other one is by Revolution. My preferred one is the by Terry, but obviously it's a lot more expensive. This one is great too, so you've got lots of choices out there. A good thing to do before you put your powder on is just to re-press your concealer so that you're helping the concealer set even more before you set it properly, and you're bashing out any creasing that might have happened. And then for the under eye area, I always used to put my powder on with a brush until I found one of these little lovelies, one of these triangular sort of shaped puffs. This one's by Oh Pretty, I think it's called. It's just off TikTok. And I've got my powder. I'm just taking a small amount on there, and then I'm just pressing it in to the under eye area. Again, with this, I would go sort of up the side of my eye there, just underneath the eyeshadow, just so that the whole area is nice and bright. So pink powder is your friend for the under eye area for sure, but I also use it on the rest of my face sometimes, depending on the mood that I'm in. But for now, I'm not using pink on the rest of my face. I'm using, well, this one's by Hourglass, but I've got a lot of powders and you can just use whichever you prefer. Now, another hack, this wasn't included in the original list, but I'll talk about it while we're here, is to always put your powder on with a small brush like this, not a big fat fluffy brush like this, because precision is everything when you're putting powder on. You don't want to get it everywhere. I want my T-zone, this bit here, to be mattified and not shiny, but if you have got oily skin, then you could become quite oily in this area, and patting it down with some powder really helps. But you don't want to get too much, and you want to be able to put it where you want it. So I want it here. I want it here, just across my nose, sort of top of my lips, and then down onto the chin. I don't want it in these areas because that's the area that I want to look more glowy. I'm not putting it under the eye, but I often just do that really to make sure that the under eye area and the blush and things is all melded into one, as in there's no line. I know not everybody uses powder, it's entirely up to you. I do because I find it works for me, but if it doesn't work for you, then that's fine too. But if you are putting it on, put it on with a small brush. And then what I do next is eye spritz. And that does two things. It sets the makeup, but it also helps with any creasing issues. This is a Studio London U Dew spelled D-E-W. I've also got a Charlotte Tilbury one, the Airbrush Flawless setting spray, and the Beauty Pie Fresh Glow. I've got various. And that takes me on to my next tip, and this is for all my oily skinned people out there. I have pretty much normal to sometimes combination skin, so it's not something I need to do this. But for you who are oily and find that makeup can slide off quite quickly, this is a good tip. And it starts before you put any actual makeup on your face. What you do first after your skincare is to put a primer on. Now I've put a primer on already today, so even though I haven't got greasy skin, I still use the primer. But with oily skin, choose one that's going to work for you. I have got some here, two of them are by NYX. One is the Angel Veil, and this one is a pore filler. These two are really good for oily skins. They're also good for other skin types, which is why I've got them here, because I can use them. But if you've got oily skin, they're very good. There's the Soap and Glory One Heck of a Blot. That is a pretty cool one. And I also love this one by e.l.f., which is the Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. That is really lovely, so it might be worth getting hold of. So primer on first, you know, a good amount, you don't want to skimp with this. And then what I want you to do is get one of these spritzers that I've just talked about, any will do, and give your face a really good spritz. Now you've got your primer on. That's going to help set the primer, stop the oil starting to form. And then you're going to go ahead and put your everything else on really, so your foundation, your concealer, your powder. You can put everything on other than your mascara, and then you give it another good spritz, just like I did then. So you spritz in twice, and that can really help to meld your makeup into place and stop it sliding off. The reason I say put it on the spritz before your mascara, because if you're not using a waterproof mascara and you do a spritz, you're going to get your mascara coming off, which isn't great. So that's a little tip for my oily friends. Then next I'm going to lips. Two things with this, so it's two hacks in one go, is to use a primer. If you're a more mature woman and you've got lips that have got lines in them, or you find that when you put your lipstick on it feathers into those lines, or they're just not very smooth, a primer can really help. I've got one by MAC. This is the MAC Prep and Prime. That's all it says on it. It doesn't tell you what it is, but I will obviously link it below. And this is quite a balmy primer. It just looks like a lip balm, I guess. But what it does is it hydrates your lips, and it also stops your lipstick, your gloss, your matte, whatever you're putting on, feathering into your fine lines and creases, and it just makes your lips look smoother. So putting this on can really help before you put your lipstick on. You can use this whether you're going to apply a liner or not. It doesn't really matter. And it is just like putting a balm on. And you can run it a little bit to the tops of your lips so it's almost on your skin, just to help with that feathering. Feels lovely. Could just use it as a balm, to be honest. So you can't see it, it's colourless, it just feels really nice on the lips. And that goes on before you put your lipstick on. And my next hack is about the lipstick. Now, I've got a love-hate relationship with my lips and lipstick, and this is because I grew up with really crooked teeth, like major crooked. And I lived with them until only, I think it's probably about 5 years ago now. And I was very, very self-conscious about my mouth area. I think when I was proper, like young teenager and didn't give a damn about much, I probably didn't worry about it too much then, because I used to use all sorts of coloured lipsticks, including blue, which made me look like Morticia from the Addams Family. But as I got older, my teeth started to bother me more. So I would either not wear any lipsticks at all, or I would wear very, very neutral, which I often do now because I like neutrals, so that I just wasn't drawing any attention to my mouth area. Now I've grown up a bit and I do like wearing lipsticks, but what I'm not keen on me is the very tidy look, for want of a better word really. You know, I don't often lip line, I don't put my lipstick on so that it's perfect. I'm pretty much a smudger. I prefer a smudged look on me, and that's just how I roll. I do every now and then put lip liner on, but even then I don't ever make it look like pristine. That might be your look and that's fine. This hydrating primer will definitely work for that, but for me, I'm a smudger. And if you feel the same about your lips, you don't want it to be all like perfect because you just don't think you can either get it perfect or it doesn't look right on you, maybe try this. So my lipstick of choice today is a new one to me. It's by Rare Beauty and it's called Lively, and it looks like this. So basically what I do with my lips is I sort of pat and blot and then I smudge. I'm going to show you so that you're not confused about that. So I will start at the top, or anywhere really. And I'm not putting it on in one movement. I'm just placing it on with small movements and getting it sort of where I want it to be. Obviously going to the edge of my lips, but I'm not worrying about everything being perfect. I really am just spotting it on. Now with my Cupid's bow area, I might take that up a little bit. So my lips are quite thin up there. And I try and make sure I've got it everywhere, apart from, I don't want to go too far in here. You might be the same. You know, I've got a couple of little creases there and I don't really want the lipstick to stick in those. And then what I do is I take a finger and I smudge. Squish it in. Because that's how I like it. Now this is a matte lipstick, which is my preferred option because it doesn't budge. And I just wonder if you worry about putting your lipstick on and it looking very precise, this could be a technique that you could use. I have got a funny area either side of my lips here where the colour is leaving my lips. When I put lipstick on top of that, it can just not look quite right. So what I often do then is take the brush that I used for my concealer and you run it next to my lipstick. effectively just clearing up that area. This side is the worst. It's like I've got no pigment in my lips from here to here, so I've just got to tidy it up myself. And that's it, my lips are done. I may go a little bit higher sometimes on my Cupid's bow, but I'm happy with that for today. So now I'm going to head off and get my mascara on. And there we have it, the finished look. I hope you found that really useful and that you're going to go away and try some of these hacks. None of them are hard to do, and you just might find that they make a difference to you with your confidence. Now, I would love it if you've got any hacks that you want to tell me about. Stick them in the comments below and I could give those a go as well at some point and we can share the love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.